paranormal, preternatural, and supernatural worlds that surround us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our weird realities.
Hey, this is Hadley Thorne, and I am here with the amazing and wonderful and mystical Miss Morgana Calder. Hey, Morgana, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm glad that we're taking the time to do this. I'm trying to get everybody on the team done, and I'm lacking you and Rich. So y'all are my last two to do.
Okay, so we're the slackers. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my crazy time of year. Football's coming in and all that good stuff, and I do calendars and a couple of media guides and everything. So it's like I get up in the morning, I get everybody taken care of, go to work, come home, feed everybody, and get back to work. So it's
Hey, Laura.
hey Laura, how are you? But yeah, like I said, it's I'm glad we're doing it too, because we always have great conversations.
Well, and you realize it's been like a year ago this time of year that you joined the team.
Yes.
So it's a great
And
time for us to do a little bit of reflection.
yeah, it has flown, to have started out from, hey, hop on with us one night, to here we are. So, you know, and the thing about it is, like I said, I mean, we used to do all of this, but we did it through like Yahoo groups or, on the phone and stuff like that. There really wasn't a platform for true podcasting when we met. We've met 20 plus years ago. It was like 2002. So 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, it's been crazy. But
It
hey,
has,
Linda.
and people don't realize that that we've known each other for 20 years.
Right.
You and Jen. There's Landa,
Mhm.
and you and Jen have been in my life for a long time now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's awesome.
Finley too.
Yep. Yep.
Trying to think.
And
So
and that was always, just something like I said, and I know we jokingly call you the cat herder, but you really are good at getting people together that are supposed to be together. I mean,
well, and that's so funny because that's one of the things when I talked with Alan, that Alan said that he goes, I'm one of those people who I want all my friends to like each other, and that's kind of how I was growing up. I
mhm,
really
right.
wanted to share my friendships, because it's just more when you're, and I say this, but I love my friends.
Hmm.
I spend time with people who make my life a better place, and so of
Right.
course I want to share those wonderful people with others.
Oh yeah.
So,
And
and I
and
just
like,
feel that
mhm,
I just feel
shoot.
like you are part of that. A big part. And when it came time for me to find somebody who would be able to pull that occultness and the esoteric new agey woo
Hmm.
stuff into the weird, I couldn't think of a better person.
No, but thank you, because that's the stuff I enjoy. I mean, I've been researching literally all my life. I mean, it probably started. My hometown actually has a bona fide witch, that has a grave with a curse and the whole 9 yards. So, growing up around that environment, I'm sure it probably, causes my mother some horror even now. but I mean, it opened my eyes up, and I was very blessed in having, my mother is a wonderful person, she is, but she has a very strict concept of, spirituality, that she grew up with, and I respect that. But my father was just the opposite. He was that person that always, pushed us to explore and learn and question. So I was that kid, that was the encouragement I needed. So, I mean, I'm from Yazoo City, Mississippi. It's a little town that, has a little library, and there was not a lot that you could find there, when I was a kid looking for stuff. But I did find what I needed, to get where I was. And then just as I got older and things started opening up more, when I was 16, I moved to Virginia Beach for a couple of years. And that was an eye opener because, they actually, it was a military town. So, they had, things that were there for different cultures and everything because they had people from all over the world. So that really opened up. Our next door neighbor was actually Wiccan growing up. So I had my tarot cards read for the first time when I was like 10, So like I said, we've always talked about the fact that people are in your life that are supposed to be. And,
Yes.
I look back and think about, those little touches here and there. My mother literally would have had heart failure had she known that I had tarot cards read, at 10 years old, she would have. But I appreciate it so much because of the fact that it did, just open up so much. There were things that, I felt even as a child, things that I saw as a child, because I think as a kid, you haven't gotten jaded yet. You're still open enough to see things and feel things and hear things that we get told is our imagination, and it kind of gets pushed out of us. So being around those people, like I said, and then having my father there too, just made it easy for me to believe things that most people would have just brushed off to, oh, she's a kid. It's just her imagination. Hi, Lee. How are you? Hey.
We've got a pretty good group going here.
Yeah.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
But no, I think that's one of the things that people that don't live in Mississippi or have never really visited, they don't understand. It's the best of places and it's the worst of places. And a lot of it, but there is a sense of magic that I don't think is anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
More of a natural, know?
Yes, I agree. Very magical places. And, down where I'm at on the coast, it's changed, especially after Katrina, because it washed up and washed out so many things.
Yeah.
And when I first came back, it's like it didn't feel like mine anymore. But it's gradually gotten back. It's still different, but it's becoming mine in a different way.
Well, I think that's interesting too, because I mean, I went through the same thing here with Katrina. It's that then this year I went and picked up, God, it's just been a long time. Last September I went to pick Boudreaux up and we went to North Mississippi and we came back the Trace and I wanted to stop by Cypress Swamp. And it's not there. Like some tornado or some kind of wind system came through and it clear cut a lot of those trees out of there. Not the big cypress trees that are in the swamp, but the ones that were like up around the road. And it's changed the whole dynamic of that place.
Yeah.
And since COVID hit, I don't get out like I used to. So I just haven't been back up there, but I mean, I really feel like my special place isn't there anymore.
Oh yeah. I was kind of always that way too about going home. Even after my father passed away, my brother still lived in our home place and they had a tornado that was the beauty of Yazoo County. It's all of our commercials and stuff growing it was always, yes, they are still the size of toddlers, Lee. Some are even larger. But when that tornadoes all my life, you'd get warnings. And because the entire town's built on like a hill, they would go around it. I mean, you never got tornadoes in Yazoo City. And that one went literally through our backyard. I mean, my brother, it was my niece's birthday party, I think. And they had, a room full of children in the center of the house, and it sucked air conditioners out of windows. That's how close it got.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, We had a friend we grew up with next door that was killed. Their house was destroyed. I mean, so it was, just really a very abnormal for that area. And when I go up there now, it's not home anymore because it took all of the big oaks that my dad, you weren't allowed to cut the oaks. That
No.
those were sacred. Because we had a family of hawks that nested there every year too. And that whole tree's gone and everything. So it feels like a different place. And I hate that because that was always one of my safe places. But we find new ones. I just miss the old ones sometimes. I miss coming up to the Cypress Swamp and to the Trace and stuff because that was the place that we gathered. We had a lot of wonderful memories up there.
Well, and I used to tell people you could feel the shift in the atmosphere when you got to a certain place on the Trace, and you could feel when it was almost like you were going past the veil.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't have that feeling, and I don't know, I'm not able to discern if it's because the veil is torn and we're just in it now,
right?
Or if it is something that is just no longer there.
Yep.
It's just
and I think maybe
like I said, go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's the thing too. I've thought about recently. Maybe we just need to one weekend get together and go. Take a trip up there and just see what we find, when we've got, some actual time to do it, because I don't feel like we're going to run across a lot of people up there, and everything. But like I said, I'd kind of like to get out there and just get the feel to see if maybe there's some new magic there that we just, because it's not ours, we just don't recognize it.
Well, and that's the thing is, I've wondered, because there's been a lot of changes in my life, and like I said, a lot of changes, I mean, just in the world. And it's a matter of, we're not out like we were. We're not.
Right.
But that would be a lot of fun. I would like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, and I really feel like, during the world we live in now with COVID and everything, that I've lost a lot of that connectiveness. I mean, even, with the land, with friends, with family, because, everybody's so isolated, and you kind of get in the habit of being that way too. And it's like, no, I really don't want to go anywhere. Do I have to leave the house? What I mean? That's part of the reason that it's probably good that I don't work from home, because it would be so easy for me to completely become a hermit.
Oh yeah. Well, trust me. And I try and remind people that in 2019, I quit my job to take care of my mom, who was, she was elderly. She went on hospice, and I did not work until, I worked from home when I did work, but until she passed away, and then I've worked from home since. And I mean, I got used to, because she was bedbound, she could not be left for longer, than an hour.
Right.
If that, by herself. And when COVID happened, we stopped having anybody but her hospice team come into the house for health reasons.
Right.
She was bedbound. She had severe health morbidities. There was a lot of stuff going on. And you get used to getting your groceries ordered, and you get used to, having things delivered to the house, and that's just kind of where I'm at. And I don't really go out now.
Right.
In fact, right now, I'm trying to find somebody that can come jump off my car, because I don't drive it enough that the battery stays charged.
Right.
So, but when I start thinking about going back out, it's like, yeah, I'd really like to do this and do that. And then I hear monkeypox, and I'm like, well, do you really want to go out?
Right.
And it's a matter of, it's not that, I'm a vax or anti-vax or anything like that. It's just, I don't feel comfortable with other people being in control of my health.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I say this because I did go to a store around here that I like, and I had like 4 people come up and hug me, and this was like in the middle of COVID, and I was like, they don't know if I've had my shot or not, or they don't, I don't know if they've had their shot or not.
Right.
And it's just a roll of the dice, and luckily I didn't get sick, but I was very much someone who would forget to put my mask on when I went somewhere.
Right. Well, and like I said, when you were caring for your mom too, you had to be extra careful.
Oh,
You
yeah, I
know,
had for the first couple of months, I bleached everything anytime anyone came and went from the house, and finally, I just kinda gave that up, and I was like, "We're just going to get sick and die."
yeah. I get
Somebody
it.
had actually told me at the beginning, "Well, you can get it from dogs," and I was like, "I'm just gonna have to die."
Right. Yeah, there you go. Because if my babies start getting stuff, then we're just going down together.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm going down the ship.
that's right. There you go. I mean, if mine ever figure out their DOGS, it will kill them.
Oh, Boo
Because
Bradley.
yeah, they think they're furry people. They are furry people. And that's another thing that I noticed. Like I said, when the people that you have around you and everything, all of us are animal people.
Yes.
Every one of us. And it was so funny. I mean, I told you last week about our incident with the injured puppy. And
How is the injured puppy, by the way?
she is doing much better. She looks horrible. She looks worse now than she did then because they had to shave the wounds to clean them and stuff. And, of course, they would heal from the inside because they were so bad. But she looks terrible. But she's running around. She's chasing the big dogs because they're terrified of her. And my 10-year-old granddaughter came over this weekend, and she's the one that none of our boys go outside and chase frogs and lizards. It's all Ashlyn. She is the person that's the animal person. And she's sitting there and she's petting her and she goes, Gigi, she looks so bad. And I'm like, I know, baby. She goes, she's like a zombie dog. And I'm like, the guys would be so proud. And it's an accurate description because, like I said, she's got all these wounds on her, but she's running, she's eating really well. I think she's going to be okay. She's going to be a tough little thing to have survived. So,
Yeah.
so yes, we now have a Chihuahua something, you know, that has found her voice because goodness gracious, midnight last night she starts howling from the kennel because she does still, hey Mark, she does have those open wounds, so I won't let her in the bed yet and
Hey, Mark.
everything. I'm going to have to get a bigger bed because as it is, when Mo is home, they kick him out of the bed usually sometime in the middle of the night. He just goes to the guest room. And now we've got another one. So, we might as well just call ourselves roommates anymore.
Well, I've got a queen size bed right now, and when I get moved back into my master bedroom, I'm having some work done at my house, but when I get moved back into the master, I'm just gonna have to get another king size because as it is right now, Mayhem sleeps with me, but the other dogs that slept in the bed, they've all passed.
Right.
So Boudreaux, he does his own. He's very independent, does his own thing. And Winter will get up in the bed when there's a storm.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get another dog, I won't.
Yeah.
Want him in the bed too. So.
Oh yeah, and
how
that's
it is.
it. We had a Great Dane that would get in the bed and she would take up like 1.5 feet of square space. She was so scared you'd make her get out. Those two beagles, because Mo's like, it's like they don't want me in here. I'm like, no, you don't understand. When you're not home, I still only have 1 foot of space on the bed because they stretch out.
Exactly.
I mean,
Well, that was the thing with Marshall Dillon. He slept like where a person would, and it took up the whole space.
Yes.
And then you have Mayhem, who is 120 pounds at the foot of the bed. So my spine's probably all crooked from it.
Yes.
And Audrey, I do see your questions. I'll come back towards the end of the show and we'll go over those. We'll take questions then.
Absolutely.
So, but I did want to talk about, let me give y'all just a little bit of history with Morgana and I. So we met in 2002 when I had started a ladies spirituality group, and we had been corresponding online, and I did not believe she was a real person. I thought it was someone who knew me, pretending to be someone I didn't know because she was so similar to me. And it was just, when we finally met, it was just like, oh my God, it's just like I had known her forever. And we've just been friends ever since. But She's amazing. And last year, when I needed some help, I was taking a position over at this this big international nonprofit, and I needed some help with the weird stuff. She stepped in with Joe Hansen, and they kind of took over the Weird Ink sessions where we were interviewing some nonfiction authors. Um, as time went on, we got to talking. I said, "This really isn't my thing." Um, Joe was wanting to kind of branch out into talking with fiction authors, and Morgana and I were talking about, well, I really miss the conversations that we used to have. So we got the idea that we would kind of do Weird Awakenings and start having those conversations again. As luck would have it, our friends at Where in the Folk like to have those conversations with us. And I had met Stephen Hill. Stephen was actually one of the first people who started listening to Weird Realities when we first started our podcast back in on Halloween of 2020. And so I knew that he had some really good insight, and it just worked out. And I think that the chemistry between Morgana and Tully and Cecil and Steven is amazing. And I've been really thrilled with what you've been able to make of that podcast and where you're going and where you're taking it, and you're branching out to some really interesting people. So you want to kind of discuss what is coming up?
Yeah, like I said, we've actually got, we're planned out through the end of the year, as long as things, progress like they're supposed to, but sometimes life does happen. But let's see, I think, hang on, give me 2 seconds. Let me pull this up so I don't give any wrong information. But we, it has worked out really well, I think, too, because every one of us has a different outlook on things. Stephen Hill, some of the things that he contributes, it never would have crossed my mind to think of it in the same way that he does. And I just think that's amazing, the things that he comes in. Like I said, then you've got Cecil and Tully, and, they're a little bit more into the conspiracy stuff, and, and that's woo too. But we also have a lot of the other things in common also. Like this past week, we had Native American mysticism with Tracy Crosby. Tracy is fantastic. I mean, she is just that person that nobody else needs to talk. You can just let her take it and go, because she's amazing. Let's see. This week we are talking about the Fae. And then we're going to have the Green Children of Woolpit next week. And then throughout the rest of the year, we've got like ancient Egypt, Jack the Ripper, some crystal therapy and color psychology. I think we're going to go into the Bloodline of Christ. The Akashic Records. I know at the end of the year, we are going to have like a free-for-all type thing and let each person pick something that they've wanted to talk about. We've got, Tully has a friend, Caitlin, that is going to come on the first part of December and talk with us about skinwalkers. She is actually Native American. Tracy will probably be back, sometime between now and the end of the year too, because, we've got several subjects that she's interested in. So yeah, it's so much coming up. And, we always say, crystals are my favorite, Landa. It's crazy. But, if there's something that we're not talking about that y'all want to talk about, please throw us a line. We're wide open. And there are things that we're going to revisit also. I know the first show that you did was about the RH factor. And
Yes.
we're gonna touch back on that. I think that's our first show after the new year.
Yes,
So,
and my partner in crime, Gracie
Yep.
Ellison, who is the person who started the whole weird world with me, she's going to come back for that.
Yes.
We had wanted to revisit. We were so disappointed in how that episode turned out, but it has maintained to be the #1 downloaded and listened to show that we've done.
Exactly.
So,
And I think that we've gotten that there. I mean, I know that y'all have done a little more research on it. I know the guys have talked about it several times. I think that we're going to have some new stuff with it too. I want to go
Definitely.
back and listen to it again because I haven't listened to it. I think it was when I first started, that was the first one I listened to. So I want
And
to,
we had so much technical difficulties in that episode. I mean, it was terrible.
you know,
Everyone always talks about their first episode. We wanted to delete it, but then it kept being downloaded so much. I was like, well, we need to keep it up, I guess.
that's right. Exactly. Because like I said, the information's, is great. So, I want to go back so that we don't just repeat that one. But, I'd like to
Well,
add
there's
on
just
to
so
it.
much you can do with it.
Exactly.
There's so many ways it could go.
Exactly.
But again, and that's it. And that's going back to, but people ask what Weird Realities is and what we're trying to do. It's like, we're not trying to repeat anybody else's show or what their business is. We're just getting together and talking and learning from each
Exactly.
other and, exploring things and researching. And like I said, to me, the great thing about what we're doing is it's just a group of friends who come together and have real conversations, and we want our audience to realize they're part of that conversation too.
Right. Exactly. Because like I said, that, I mean, we enjoy it because we're with friends, we're having a good time. But when we've got that interaction from everyone that's listening, it just adds so much more to it because there's always a new perspective out there. There's always a question that we're like, wow, I didn't think about that, So I love the interaction with everyone.
Well, and that's going back to Stephen Hill is one of those people who you talk about doors open and the right people come into your life.
Yep.
He is a friend of Lauren Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren is someone who helped me start the podcast, and she kind of got me rolling with doing some interviews and things. And Lauren was a big help with me getting my book off the charts. And but they're personal friends. They go out researching together, and it was through her that we even met. And now I feel like he's part of my inner circle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And when he's not there, I miss that he's there.
I know.
It's kind of like you guys on Thursday night. If one of you isn't there, it's still a good show, but the dynamic between the four of you is just amazing.
Yeah.
So like I said, and it's the same with, with the guys, I mean, I love that they're there, when they're not, I mean, I do miss them because everybody's got a perspective. And, yes, we go down 1,000 rabbit holes and we're trying to get better about that, but that tends to happen, when you've got that many different personalities too.
Well, and that's why, I try and do that reminder of,
Mm-hmm.
we're just having conversations.
Right.
It's not, there's no format. It's
right.
We try to stay on topic, but, sometimes you really will just go off on a tangent and it makes sense in the long run and you'll pull it all back together. But the journey is part of the fun.
That's right. That's right. And that's, I mean, even, I know one of my absolute favorite episodes is we were talking about vampires, and Max Hawthorne started listening and ended up joining us and telling an just crazy, amazing story, from his personal life. So like I said, I like that, I mean, if you've got something you want to get on and talk about, just, let me know. We'll work it out and everything. Because like I said, it is about the conversation. It's not about, hey, I know everything and I don't need to know what you're saying. It's not like that at all. And, I mean, every once in a while, you can change my mind because I am open, but I mean, I'd like to think that everyone takes something away,
Well, and the great thing that I have found across the board with the people who are involved with Wyrd is that there's really no judgment. I mean, even if we think that you're mad as a hatter, we accept and love you because
that's
of it.
true. There you go. That's exactly right.
We tolerate each other's weirdness. We, want to be there for each other, and it is just a loving group of people, and that's what makes it great.
Exactly. Because, that's what, because, we have a lot of conversations off air also. And, I'll be talking to the guys and, one of them will be like, oh, well, this. And I'm like, okay, now that's a little bit much for me right there, And like I said, but it goes both ways, because like I said, that's part of friendship and family is just like, say, accepting the crazy. You just have to find the people that have your kind of crazy.
That's right.
and we've got that, very much so, and it's growing, and we meet more wonderful people. I keep seeing new names and faces, and I think that's amazing. you know I want that to continue, because like I said, as long as there's somebody that cares to hear it, I'll do it
Yep.
because I'm enjoying it.
Well, and you've often heard me, and everybody at Wyrd knows I overcommit myself.
Yeah, yes, you always have.
And so I'm trying to take a step back. I'm trying to focus on my writing. I got 2 books that I'm trying to get done before the end of October, and I'm focusing on doing the Weird Wednesdays. That's my
Mhm.
focus right now. And every time I look at y'all's list for Weird Awakenings, I'm like, I want to be there. and and I will try, but I mean, stuff happens. People call, and you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I don't always get to be there, but it's not because I don't want to, and I hope everybody knows that. It's the
Oh,
same with Weird. Watching Weird. I want to be there every week because I love to
hmm
hear the crazy stuff that comes out of
oh
Alec
yes.
Bow and Scott Baker's mouth.
Oh, look, and I'll tell you, that is my Friday morning at work. That's what I look forward to. I mean, I do join live sometimes, but for the most part, on Friday mornings, people come in and I'm laughing and they're looking at me like, "Are you okay?" Oh yeah, podcast. I mean, so, but and I've got a couple of friends that recently have been watching and everything, and gotten awesome feedback. Because they're like, I mean, it's everybody's down to earth. That is the comment that I hear more than anything. Nobody's, getting out there, "Oh, well, we're Siskel and Ebert." I mean, they're just a bunch of friends talking about movies they love.
We just are movie nerds.
That's right. There you go. I mean, so, and like I said, I respect that so much, because I've got over 500 DVDs in my shelf right now, and I probably haven't watched a quarter of them.
I've got a lot of shark movies to watch this week.
Hey, look, if the grid ever falls, as long as I've got electricity, I will have movies.
I'll be there with you with my
Hey,
solar powered battery pack.
there you go. Come on. There's plenty of room. But so like I said, I think that's part of what having a good dynamic matters, but being able to step outside of that. Our biggest problem is trying not to have too many people on, because then you feel like people are getting lost.
Yes, and that is, if y'all wonder why we sometimes limit it to at the most having 5 people on at once, it is because for radio especially, people get confused.
Yeah.
So we want to make it simple. We want everyone to feel like they're being heard, and that's one of the things is, you know,
Yeah.
but we know so many awesome people. We want them all on.
I know, and that's one of the things too that we're looking at going forward is, having some more people on to get that other perspective. I like, the fact, like I said, that Tully's friend Caitlin, who better to have on an episode about skinwalkers than a Native American?
Exactly. Well, and that's one of the things for me, being able to invite Tracy Crosby into appearing has been great, because I love
Mhm.
Tracy, and I knew that y'all would really like her too. But
Yes.
it's reaching out to people that and you have that personal connection with, is often really, makes for, I guess, a more spirited conversation.
Right, right. Because I mean, everybody shouldn't agree on everything,
No.
and they just shouldn't. I mean, I don't like to be classified as a sheep, because that's not who I am. So that's part of what I look forward to, is all of the differences. And, like I said, Tracy is, like I said, yeah, she's amazing. That's one thing that we'll never disagree on. But that's even like, we jokingly talk about going down the rabbit holes. That was the last thing she said before she got off was, "Ooh, we'll get together and go down deep in one of those rabbit holes." I mean, so, you know, she's willing to talk about what we want to, but she's also willing to come on and talk about the things that she is, I don't want to say, I don't know what the word is I'm using. It's her wheelhouse.
Yes. Well, she's very, and the thing about Tracy is Tracy was a college professor for years. She retired as a college professor.
Mhm.
So she is someone who knows how to research and does it for
Mhm.
the joy of actually research. Hey,
Right.
Mike Lewis, we're happy that you made it.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, this is the second time we've had her on, and the first time I can't even remember what the subject was off the top of my head, but it was just like, she got off and then we got off the air and then we sat and talked about what we talked about for another 3 hours,
Yeah.
because she's just got so much information that, and like I said, it's that different perspective. It's just hearing someone that works with it differently, because she's a Reiki master. She also does medical Reiki, correct?
Yeah, surgical.
Yes.
And that's the thing that really impressed me, because coming from a healthcare background, we would do educational stuff and we would have to get nursing hours. And it's a very difficult thing to do, to get the nursing board to approve hours for your classes. And the fact that Tracy was able to get that for Reiki classes is phenomenal.
In
And that showed
Mississippi.
me, yeah, that showed me that not only was she the real deal, but I mean, she was really putting a lot of effort into making sure that people were getting what they needed from it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
she is actually s- someone who she's been a master certification where she can actually go into surgery with people and perform Reiki on them while they're being operated on.
Mhm.
And that is, again, unheard of in this area of the country, because
Yes.
people think it's a bunch of woo.
Yep.
And
Well, I mean, okay, until earlier this year or maybe last year, you could not teach yoga to children in Alabama because it was Islam. I mean, so like I said, you can't stress enough how different it is down here when it comes to that kind of thing. When I first met you, I was searching, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to meet people from out west, up north, this, that, and other. I will never find people in Mississippi, that.
ta-da!
Yeah, there you go. And I was like, oh wow, there are some really awesome people in Mississippi, you know. And like I said, people come and go. I mean, there are some people I would not give you 2 minutes of time for, because some people just don't hash out. They're not supposed to be in your life, or they're only there to teach you something, and it's probably not going to be something you want to learn. But far and wide, I have met some of the best people spiritually in my state, and that meant everything to me at that time, because like I said, I was searching so hard, because at some point, even if you're a loner, you still need people.
Well, and my philosophy when I was bringing our group together back in the early 2000s was that it's not about what religion you're practicing.
No.
It's about what your quest is, your search for
Yes.
knowledge. Because I know people who are Christian who are more witchy than the biggest witch that I know, and I know people who are witchy who are more closed minded than the staunchest right winged conservative Christian.
Yes, I
So
agree.
um and they don't see it that. I mean, that was the thing, is I've seen people be so ugly about and I'm not someone who will label myself a religion. I don't. I'm consider myself a spiritual person. I believe there's something to be learned from all religions.
Mhm.
Um, I think that God or goddess or the creator speaks to us all in the way that we need,
Yep.
versus the way that we've been taught. And it's just a matter of finding that connection for yourself. So
Correct.
I didn't want to close anybody out because they didn't fit into what I prescribed as right or wrong. And I think that's one of the things that made our group as interesting and as diverse as it was that willingness to share with
Mhm.
people from different backgrounds.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think, I mean, and while the Wyrd crew is definitely not on the basis of a bunch of spiritualness, the Wyrd Awakenings crew is definitely people who are seeking answers, and I
Right.
love it. I love
Yes.
it.
Yes. Because I really, have felt that lack since, I mean, life happened. We all, went our ways and had things going on and everything. And, that is the thing that I missed more than anything, was just having people on that journey with me.
Yep.
So, it was awesome, when life led us all back to where we're at. and and brought in the new ones and everything. So yeah, it's great because I feel like everyone has brought in someone that just works, that just fits.
I think
And
so too.
yeah, and like I said, I mean, and it's just when I think, okay, how many more cool people can I meet? Somebody comes along. And like I said, the way that things have been the last few years, it was very easy to get away from that. So it's nice to kind of have that back.
Well, and that's again going back to what we do here at Weird is the biggest prescription that I have is that no one does all the work. That's why there's so many of us.
Yep.
We share the workload. No one should ever feel like they're letting someone down. No one should ever feel like they can't have a holiday with their family. No one should ever feel like they can't get sick.
Hmm. Right. That's exactly right. And you've always stressed that, you know, um, just completely, if you can't do something, just say so. Somebody
Yeah.
else can step up. And it works. I mean, like I said, we were supposed to do this yesterday and I ended up with company that I wasn't expecting, you know. And I think that worked out too because, like I said, I think we've had a great conversation today. Um,
Definitely.
yeah. So, I mean, while everything we talk about isn't going to appeal to everyone, I think that we've got something for everyone.
I think so. I think
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
And that's what the great part of the weird verse is that,
Yeah.
there's whether it is wanting to nerd out over movies, talk about books with your favorite author,
Mhm.
or talk about creativity with a group of
Right.
people who are creative minds,
Right.
or just to talk about the weird stuff that's going on in the news,
Yeah.
or if you want to learn something new
Mhm.
and talk with some people. I mean, I have found I posted, and I'm trying to get better, which right now I've got a lot of time, but I was able to post like where the movies that we're watching for Thursday, where they're playing free and all that.
Mhm.
And I've noticed a number of people are watching the movies.
Yeah.
And that's like the greatest thing to me because I'm such a nerd and I love to watch. Y'all don't know, Shark Week is like my favorite week of the year. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so, and then to find out, Jaws is Rich's favorite movie, and we've
Well,
got,
I
was
had
it
even made
Gosh,
the comment a couple of weeks ago when we were just carrying on a conversation about, oh, what, no Sharknado? And Alan goes, well, we just didn't have enough time to get that. I'm like, that was total sarcasm. So I mean, so all of you are really geeking out over sharks. And that's just okay. That's not my genre. I mean, and we've talked about that. Like I said, but I still, whether I watch them or not, love watching y'all talk about watching them.
well, and that's part of the fun is,
Uh-huh.
I mean, Hobo with a Shotgun. Well, and if y'all have watched that episode, I'm the lone girl. I felt like when I was watching it, I was like, this is just a gruesome. I was calling it blood porn. It was terrible. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this because if I don't, they're gonna think I chicked out, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I
Yeah.
played the chick card and then we get ready for on air, and it turns out that Rich and Alan both stopped watching it. And I was like, "You're telling me I didn't have to watch it?" And then
Right.
Scott Baker's talking about it, and he loved it, and it was just like,
Uh-huh.
"Did we watch the same movie?"
Right.
And
And
that's what the fun part
yeah,
is.
and that's happened a couple of times I noticed,
Yeah.
that everybody's like, no, I just couldn't do it. So,
And then, I mean, and the dynamic is definitely different, but I can see what you're saying about it. Like with Cecil and Tully, I love it when Cecil gets quiet.
mhm,
And that's one of the things I think I love the most about watching him with Tracy the other night
mhm,
was it was just like a serious side of Cecil. We don't
right.
normally get to see that,
Yeah,
you
because
know?
Cecil's fun. Cecil, he really is.
He's the life of the party, man.
He is. But I'm like you. When I see him doing that, the questions and the comments that come out,
He's a deep dude.
yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Linda, I agree. They are. They're great. And like I said, and then of course, you've got things going on behind the scenes. So Hadley sends a picture or a news article a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realize it had come through. I just noticed the guys all of a sudden were just giggling. And I'm like, what did I miss? So after the show, I saw what I had missed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't see that while we were
It's not like I sent any. It was on Ancient Origins. It was the Ancient Origins website, and it was an article about Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and COVID.
Yes, it's because they had sex that we have COVID. So, I mean, it's just like it was a totally legit article, but it's just the timing on it, like I said, just got both of them. And it's being able to pull them back in, because every time Tully would just about calm down, Cecil would look at him and he'd lose it again. So, but yeah, they're a lot of fun, and I do like the likeness, but I agree with you. I mean, Cecil is very deep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, Mark, it depends on what you and Landon would like to talk about.
It's quiet.
Yeah, I see that. All right. Okay, so I know Audrey had some questions.
She did. Let me get back up here. Mm-hmm. All right, Miss Audrey. Miss Audrey has asked if you could answer some of her questions. What is your favorite supernatural creature?
That's hard, but I'm going to say elves, and not Santa's elves. Not really Tolkienish elves, but I don't know if you're familiar, Audrey, with Laurel K. Hamilton. She has a totally different take on elves that not everyone probably would be aware of, but that is what I see. I think that elves are different colors, different personalities. I think you've got good and bad on the light side and the dark side. So elves are my favorite. How about you, Miss Hadley?
Supernatural creatures. I love the vampires. Y'all know that. Anybody that watches the show knows I love vampires. But again, not necessarily the
stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, I like all types, which I'm just gonna the last little thing that I wrote. That's kind of like where I'm at with vampires right now.
Yep.
So for those who don't know, I wrote a short story that's supposed to be included in the Horror Writers Inc. anthology, and I did a different kind of apocalyptic vampire story, and they're very dark creatures, and they have fangs and venom, and so I do a lot of research again, and I look at research on vampires from around the world, and I take different things. So but yeah, I love the vampires.
And that was a very good story. Very good story. Mm-hmm. And and that's the thing too. Like I said, I mean, I do too, but it's not necessarily, like I said, the stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different aspects.
Right. Now, like Nosferatu, that is a very rough-looking vampire.
Yeah, but I use that in my story. I
was going to say that, but that's my thing. One of the scariest vampires to me that I have ever read was the one in Salem's Lot, and it was the epitome of the Nosferatu, and everything. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, there's a place for them. Okay. I don't like sparkling vampires. I'm sorry.
No, vampires don't sparkle, people. Vampires don't sparkle.
They can't stay out in the sun for unlimited time and shine. It's just not right. But yeah, so like I said, I'm with you. I like the different vampires too. Favorite paranormal investigation show. I am currently rewatching Sci Factor, that was hosted by Dan Aykroyd back in the 90s, early 2000s, maybe.
He is an interesting dude.
I love Dan Aykroyd. And if you ever research him, like say Ghostbusters, for instance, most of the lore and stuff from those movies came from investigative work that his father did. His father was actually a Ghostbuster in the sense that he was a paranormal investigator. He also, he has the Crystal Head vodka. And I watched a thing with him talking about what it was and how he did it and everything. And he goes into the whole Crystal Head, backstory and everything. But this stuff is filtered 3 times through Herkimer diamonds because of the metaphysical.
Yeah, I want to go get me some vodka.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, I was probably the first one in line to get it because 1, I do like vodka, but 2, Dan Aykroyd and Crystal Heads. It was not my favorite vodka. It was good. It really was. I mean, I would never turn my nose up at it, but Mike, I have to agree with you.
Yeah. I'm gonna get. I liked it when they were more like the had the mystery and the police cases.
Yes,
those are my favorite. Ted is my favorite. Ted Forrester is my favorite character in the books, followed by Otto. So yeah, I'm more into that side of the Anita Blake stuff, not necessarily the male harem. I'm not into the male harem.
Yeah, and I actually like Mary Gentry. That's set better than Anita Blake. I love Anita Blake too, but like I said, I do like Mary Gentry's side better. But the same thing, the last few there was definitely a porn aspect to it.
There's a lot of people are really into the whole
what is it, reverse harem? I
reverse
think they call it. Yeah.
Okay, back to Audrey. She's popping up.
But
what
anyway,
is your favorite paranormal investigation show?
Yes, right now it is currently the Sci Factor.
I like Destination Truth, which I know that's not really owned anymore. But have you read or seen anything about the Mississippi house, about the house in Florence that's so haunted?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, there was a movie that came out about it a year or 2 ago, maybe 3 now. And it was freaking crazy. Well, the other night, one of my friends that I had my paranormal experience on seeing that entity on the Natchez Trace with, she messaged me out of the blue and she's like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. She's talking about it. Well, I didn't realize there's been another movie or some show about this house in Florence, which Florence, by the way, is like, 7 minutes from where I live. Yep. So it's just right here. But the guy from Ghost Hunters, he was such an asshole in the beginning, but then he kind of took over.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
The younger guy. Mm-hmm. He came and investigated it, and like they caught a lot of really good stuff on tape, as well as and this was something I'd never heard of, but you just need to watch it and then we'll talk because it was good. But it's called the Mississippi House, and I can't remember what the name of the show was. But they did a feature movie about it.
I'll find it. I will find it, and that might go on our list. Okay, favorite TV show. Oh gosh, that's hard. But I'm going to go with one that's not on the air anymore. But at the time I started watching it, I literally only watched 1 hour of TV a week, and that was Supernatural.
I petered out with Supernatural. I think I got to the 12th season. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's kind of like X-Files. Like they just went too far with some of the stuff. Like X-Files went too far into the Alien, and Supernatural went too far into the Bible. And
yes, and I do not disagree with that. I think that the main reason I stuck it out was just the fact that I accidentally stumbled on the first episode.
Hashtag Dean, hashtag Sam.
Yeah, that could have a little to do with it too. That's like your hashtag Eric, So, but but yeah, like I said, I mean that I'll always call it one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good show. I mean, like
Yeah,
the bipolar teddy bear episode's one of my favorites.
yeah, yeah.
But
And
there's so many really good ones, and
and,
it's
and
just
yeah, there are a lot of good things going on right now. Like I did try the what's that new one that just started? Resident Evil.
oh, okay. Are you
Yes,
gonna sit in on the panel?
maybe. I started watching it, and I got about 4 episodes into it. Now I have no background on the movies. I have no idea
Oh,
what
you
they're
definitely
about or
need to do the
anything.
panel then. It's gonna
Yeah,
be Scott is leading it. I think Alan's gonna sit in. I don't know if Rich is. I am not because that's
mhm,
just not my thing.
yeah,
And from Horror Writers Inc., I don't know if Jamie is or not,
mhm,
but Bethany Stutzman, who I adore,
mhm,
I don't ever get to talk to her, so I've only seen her doing interviews with other people, and I'm
mhm,
jealous because I just think she's the bomb.
yeah,
And Sylvester Barzy, which who I
yes,
think the world of Sylvester.
uh-huh.
So they're going to be on there talking about it. So it should be
Okay,
interesting.
cool.
But
I,
Landon
I
watched
will.
it all.
Oh, okay, cool. And like I said, I'll get back on it. Like I said, I just got busy and kind of put. Well, I was trying to watch that and the Dark Winds on AMC. Was it
Dark
Dark?
Winds was good.
It was
Um,
very good, very
trying
good.
to think.
And then the Terminal List. So I was watching all 3 of those at the same time. So I had to take a minute of a break. And Audrey, if you like the Vampire Diaries, if you haven't seen the originals, watch it because I like the Vampire Diaries books a lot. I kind of got away from it about 5 seasons in. The originals was more to me of an adult take on those characters. And well, that and I'm familiar with New Orleans. I'm it's somewhere I go on a fairly regular basis. So the scenery and the environment and everything that just made it for me a better move or a better series.
And I'm
So
gonna have to think. I'm drawing a blank. Y'all, I watch so much TV, I can't keep up with it. Um, Supernatural is definitely a great one. I have been wanting to rewatch Game of Thrones. I know the last season sucked, but y'all, I love me some Game of Thrones. I'm not even gonna lie.
yes, yes. And
Um,
I'm thinking about watching it before the new series comes out, but I've got so much on my list that I need to watch
I
because
know, right?
I want to watch the Sandman series.
Yeah, and Alan's doing that one. That's a panel we're doing with Horror Writers Inc.
Hmm.
And I'm doing Game of Thrones, and Rich is doing Lord of the Rings.
Okay, that was I was going to say there was another one I couldn't remember. It was the Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah, if you want to watch and take part in the panels, let me know because
Okay,
we're looking for people to sit.
okay, will do.
Um, Dexter's one I like.
Oh, I love
Oh,
Dexter.
if you did not see the HBO show Newsroom, I suggest everyone watch it. It was phenomenal. Another one that I swear by is, let me see. I'm trying to think what the name of it is. Homeland.
Okay, I had heard Newsroom was awesome. Steven watched that one and loved it. And that's not normally the type show he watches, so it kind of surprised me.
Mike, I am on it. You can now talk to Morgana. We've been talking about it. I've got
Mhm.
another book that I am finishing up, and then I'm on to book 3, and hopefully we'll have it published by the end
Yes.
of November. So
Yes, Audrey, I have watched Stranger Things.
yes, Stranger Things is very good.
Yes, yes, it is. Anything that's got that kind of background to it, I pretty much, if,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a staple. It's a
yeah,
staple.
exactly, exactly. My husband comes in, he's like, "What are you watching now?" Like, you're not gonna like this one. Resident Alien
Oh, I
shocked
love that
me
one.
that he watched it with me because it's one you have to pay attention to, and he loves it. He's ADD. He usually cannot sit still for anything that's got a lot of you have to sit and watch. And it surprised me that he has. I mean, he's asked me multiple times, "When is it coming back on?" I finally got to tell him the other day. So, but yes,
I swear by the Lost Kingdom too, which
I have not watched that one.
oh, you would love it.
Mm,
You would
yep.
love it.
I put it on my list with the rest of them. There's so many on my list.
I know, right?
Yes.
And I don't know. I will say this. This was one that I was very well. There was two that I was very reluctant to watch because I just did not think that they were like my thing. Which was Breaking Bad, which is probably my favorite series I've ever watched now. Hands down, it was that good. And what was the one with John Hamm? Oh, it had the girl, the Handmaid's Tale. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. That one will be back on in 2 weeks.
September, yeah, yep. September, I think. So all the good stuff. But that's it, and we have touched our hour, so we're gonna let y'all go. And y'all know where you can find Morgana every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be with, for the most part, Henry Tully or Cecil Fletcher and
Stephen
Hill.
Yep.
I may or may not be there. There may or may not be a guest. But
that's right.
You'll be able to find at least one of those people there.
Yes.
But thanks for joining us, guys. I've got another interview coming up with Rich Restucci here at 7:30. It's 7 o'clock right now, so 30 minutes from now. And whenever Morgana has time, she's going to catch me up and do an interview with me. So we will let y'all know when that's going to happen. But right, always a pleasure, people. We love y'all. And until next time, stay weird.
Thanks. Night.